Hello, I'm Chrissy Seaton and welcome back to my YouTube channel, My Noahide Family. We are continuing on with the book that we've done a few previous videos on called To Perfect the World. And this was a book written by the Rabbi or the Leviticus Rabbi, which was Rabbi Menachem Schneerson of blessed memory, and it is a book instructing the Jews about teaching the Noahides in relation to the Torah's laws for the 7 Noahide laws. So we've discussed before that the Jews have 10 commandments, which are 10 categories of law, and we, the Noahides, have 7 commandments which equate to 7 categories of law. So let's move along with this, and today I'm reading from this book, To Perfect the World, page 160, page 160 to page 163. Now I'm going to read some sections of it because it puts it better than my words can. So the question is, should we study the Torah's Noahide code? Well, yes, most definitely. We are not to be studying parts of the Torah that are directly related to the Jewish laws and things that the Jews should be doing. But we most definitely need to be looking at what the Torah says for Noahides to do. The 7 Noahide laws, the Noahide code. And we need to be encouraging the Jews to continue to do that. But we now, as Noahides, are, how shall I say, mature enough now. There's enough mature Noahides throughout the world that we should also be encouraging other Gentiles about the importance of this, in particular to world peace. So let us move along now and see what is said. So definitely we should be studying the Torah in relation to the Noahide code. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And so now I'm going to read a few things from this book because it says it better than I possibly can. It says Gentiles should study Torah related to their commandments. They must study the details of these commandments in order to be able to put them into practice. Makes sense? Not merely a preparation for a mitzvah. Now, a mitzvah is a Jewish word that means laws, a deed, something we should do. It's called a mitzvah, what we should be doing for good. So I'll continue to use that word as we come across it. But so it's not merely a preparation for a mitzvah, but an obligation in its own right. Obligated we are to keep these mitzvahs in a regular, natural manner which necessitates previous study of the specific laws related to these mitzvahs. Thus, this study is not merely a preparation for a mitzvah, but one of the mitzvahs in their own right. So in other words, we look into an individual mitzvah at a time and what it relates to and how we are to occupy ourselves with that mitzvah and the execution of that mitzvah where appropriate. So otherwise the Noahide code cannot be observed, and it's as simple as that. Now the same principle applies to influencing Gentiles to study the Torah laws related to the Noahide code, which we just mentioned before. Now, often, many of you will have by now heard of the term the Messianic era, when the Messiah comes. Now, or the Mashiach, we say. In the Messianic era, the sole occupation of the entire world, Gentiles as well, that is, will only be to know God and the waters cover, as the waters cover the ocean bed. This means that knowledge of God, knowledge and comprehension that is, will envelop the existence of Gentiles until it becomes their entire being. Thus, some parallel this must exist even now through Torah in a comprehensible form amongst Gentiles as well. Now it goes on and says that a Gentile who engrosses him or herself in Torah study is worthy of respect. Respect like a high priest who serves in the holy temple. So I want to make this clear, and I've mentioned it before. Don't consider yourself a second-class person. You are considered, if you are a Gentile and you occupy yourself with studying the parts of the Torah that are directly in relation to upholding the Noahide laws, the 7 Noahide laws, then you are considered as like a high priest in the holy temple. Now let that sink in. Let it sink in and think about it. It says a man, meaning Adam in Hebrew, which means should keep them, the Torah laws, and live by them. Now that man means mankind, Gentiles. It does not speak of priests, Levites, or Israelites, but of a man. You have thus learned that even a Gentile who engrosses himself in Torah study, according to the Noahide laws, is like a high priest. I'll let you think about that a bit more. There will be also, I'll put some references in the description box below here. You can catch up with those things. It goes on and says Gentiles should not only study Torah related to the Noahide code for the purpose of knowing how to act, but they are obligated to study these parts of Torah for its own sake. They are obligated, it says. Now, the mitzvahs is that positive mitzvahs were not included in that count. In other words, this you must grasp firmly. For example, the mitzvah to give charity was not actually counted as a separate Noahide code. So there are lots of things that are, let me use the phrase common sense, that common sense and decency would tell us it's a good thing to do. We shouldn't have to be given a law to say we do it. And they are things such as giving charity if someone is in need. Charity is not only including money, as in paper and coin, but charity in terms of acts and assistance. So, common decency dictates that we should do that. We shouldn't have to be given a written law about that. Now, when Jews influenced Gentiles to study Torah related to their 7 commandments, it's fitting preparation for the fulfillment of the prophecy which states the sole occupation of the entire world, Gentiles as well, will only be to know God for several reasons. And it goes on here and gives 3 categories, which I'm going to talk to you about. And the first one says, when Jews influenced Gentiles to accept the commandments given to Noah's descendants, this refines the limbs of the body with which they perform these 7 commandments. How beautifully this is explained. The second one says, when Jews influenced Gentiles to study the legal aspects of the Noahide code to enable them to perform all their mitzvahs, this refines the aspect of the mind that is related to the limbs of the body with which these mitzvahs are performed. The third one goes on and says, when Jews influenced Gentiles to study Torah within the scope of their Noahide code, in order to thoroughly understand the Torah where it is relevant to them for its own sake. This refines the Gentiles' faculty of intellect by permeating it with comprehension of Torah. This is a fitting preparation for the era when the sole occupation of the entire world will only be to know God, knowledge of God for its own sake and for no other purpose. Hits you right here, doesn't it? Furthermore, it goes on and says, even the concept of the crown of Torah applies to Gentiles. This is achieved when Torah related to the Noahide code encompasses the Noahide's entire being. This resembles the prophecy which says the earth will be filled with the knowledge of God as the waters cover the ocean bed. Now there'll be reference links in the description box to some of these quotes. The crown of Torah is made available to all so that the inhabitants of the world will not have reason to present a challenge to God. The crown of Torah is made available for all the righteous among the inhabitants of the world. That includes the Gentiles. The simplest meaning of the expression inhabitants of the world is a reference to Gentiles. There you go. It is laid out for all the inhabitants of the world, that is, they can indeed attain the level of the crown of Torah as well. So this is speaking of us, Gentiles. It is laid out for all the inhabitants of the world, the crown of Torah. The prophecy that the earth will be filled with the knowledge of God as the waters cover the ocean bed. Now, referring to the righteous Gentiles in the Messianic era, has a parallel in the efforts of the Jewish people during the era of their exile, which, as we know, that's what the term is now, the state of the Jewish people. They're in exile. And so we will sort of be like coming out of exile ourselves as Gentiles in a different way. We will come to now understand and know the Torah. So in a way, we won't be in exile either. So it says they can indeed attain the level of the crown of the Torah. Now, referring to the righteous Gentiles in the Messianic era, it also means that we should be influencing each other as well. We as Noahides should be influencing other Gentiles as well, and certainly our fellow Noahides. And it goes on and says that we accomplish this by influencing Gentiles to study Torah related to the Noahide code in a manner of the crown of Torah, such that when they study the permissible subjects in Torah for Noahides, this is, for Gentiles, this study encompasses the parameters of their entire being. This is similar to the prophecy which Ramban cites in the Mishnah Torah. The occupation of the entire world will be solely to know God, as the waters cover the ocean bed. There's nothing you can add to that to give it more emphasis, is there? It's written beautifully. You might have heard a little squeak before. One of my son's little dogs has had 5 puppies, and they're just starting to move around. I've had to corral them, and they're trying to growl and do little barks. They're ever so cute, ever so cute. Oh dear, it's like having 5 little babies all at once. I changed my scenery a little bit today because it's very overcast, and the lighting isn't all that good. I'm not complaining, but I thought, oh, why not? I'll just turn the camera around a little bit so you can see the wind blowing outside and a bit of our old antique shed over there that's as old as, I don't know, over 100 years, more than 100 years old. So we keep it the way it is, sort of thing. It's where we keep all our saddle gear in there now, saddles and bridles and things. But it's nice to see outside. Now, I apologise for any cobwebs that might be lingering, but I haven't got round to doing a big spring clean since my recovery, so I'm still a bit winded at times, but never mind. It's just a change of scenery I thought that you'd enjoy. Now, one of the things I wanted to just highlight for women, because it is Women of Wisdom on a Friday, is that it's not only a message for women, but I guess I'm addressing women here because women are instigators and motivators. It's by nature that women are that way, and they're motivators and instigators of change, whether it be change in their household or in their local community, at the local school, etc. It is often the women. I'm not suggesting the men don't do it, but very often it is the women that put the forward thought there and say, what if? Why not? Can we do this? Would this work? So this is what I'm asking women to do, to keep that motivation, do what we do best. And it can be by garnering the assistance of other people, putting a suggestion out there, putting something on the plate and saying, okay, how can we improve this? What can we do in our community, in our street, to make the world a better place and make our little community more peaceful? What can we do? Because it starts in our own community. It starts in the street where you live. That's where all great things begin. And it's often, very often, women who may kick that off, and they then garner the assistance of others to help. So we are instigators and motivators, and we should be proud of that. And if you look back through history, you'll see some amazing women, amazing forward steps made or created or instigated by women. So, begin speaking about the importance of the Noahide laws and say, did you know that when Noah left the ark, God gave him the 7th law for Gentiles? Did you know that? And they very often might say, I thought there was only 10 commandments. They often refer to that. And you can start your conversation. And you can say that one of the things that is laid at the feet of mankind, Jews and Gentiles alike, is world peace. And we as Gentiles are in the driver's seat in a lot of our situations whereby we can help motivate that. We can help instigate that. We can help bring that together. And I think that it's women that I challenge. I throw that challenge out to women because, that famous expression, I wonder what would happen if we did this. What do you think might happen? What do you think of that idea? You can really tempt people. And, in Australia at the moment, we have Australia Day coming up. Now, there's been a lot of controversy about that. Some shops have refused to sell the Australian flag and things like that. Other shops are selling it. And, for my family, we don't do the Christmas thing or anything, but the Australia Day is a nice day. It's a day when it's a public holiday. It's in the middle of summer. A lot of people go fishing, swimming, barbecue, whatever like that. And so it's a celebration of us. You know, what if everyone in our neighbourhood, in our street, got around and had a communal Australia Day? What if I spoke to people in advance and asked them would they like to, you know, can we gather in a common area within our street? There's lots of things. Get to know people. And, you know, all the people that live in Australia, sometimes we as the Gentiles have to put ourselves out there in front and sort of say, hey, my name is, you know, is there anything you think we, and get people to give you their opinion. So do you think there's anything we could do to make our street better or safer or more happy or more picturesque or whatever it is? And sometimes a communal project like that is the foundation for great relationships, and it does start in the street where you live. In the meantime, I want you all to please take care. Thank you for listening, and God bless.